In this video, I'd like to go over the marker functionality and the peak search capability of the RTSA GUI. Over here on the right hand side, we have the functions capable in the RTSA GUI, and here we are, the marker function and the peak search function. When I click on the marker function, I will get a marker at the center frequency of the plot. And you can see marker 1 is active by its indication of its purple on the graph, marker 1 value in the upper right hand corner of the graph, and also in the marker menu. Clicking on the marker frequency, I can change it to whatever frequency I would like, and I can also change the marker power if it happens to be a fixed marker, and I can change its power as well. I'm going to change it back to a normal marker. I can turn that marker into a delta marker, and now marker 1 is a delta marker, and I can move it to where I want relative to marker 2. Marker 2 is created as a fixed marker, but I can change that back to a normal marker. It's now purple, and I can move it around. Now, if I go to peak search will take the active marker, in this case marker 2, and move it to a peak when I hit peak search. And now I can move marker 2 around, next peak, next peak, next peak, and what it's looking for is the next peak, whether it's right or left. And of course, next peak right will only show peaks to the right, and next peak left will only show peaks to the left. Next point left and next point right is if I want to drag a marker and I can't quite get it where I want, then I can use next point right and next point left, which are the display points on the screen, to get it exactly where I want it. Marker center, of course, will move the marker, the center frequency of the plot to the frequency of the marker. And marker reference level will move the reference level of the marker's amplitude to the reference level for the amplitude setting. Continuous peak will allow that marker to always find the marker peak on the screen at any given time. So you can see it's moving around as the FM modulation moves around. It's going to move around looking for the highest peak on the screen. We'll just move this off. Just want to create a couple more markers. We'll do another peak search marker, get a new marker. Well, it moved marker 2 to the peak. Okay, let's go here, create a new marker. There we go. Move it off somewhere, and we'll create one more. And now if we turn on, we can see how the marker table works, and we see a delta marker, normal, normal. Let's make one of them a fixed marker. So the last marker will make a fixed marker, and you can see the designations here in the marker table, and you can scroll to see up to 12 markers at one time. So now looking at peak configuration, this allows me to set a threshold, draw a line to see where that threshold is, to define all peaks above minus 90 dBm as legitimate peaks. And if I say the rise and fall of that peak has to be at least 6 dB to be counted as a peak. So now, if I go to peak search, we go to marker 4, we'll turn that into a normal marker again, and say next peak. It doesn't have too many places to go because 6 dB above this is it's not rising and falling 6 dB because there's 3 dB per graticule there. So let's move this down a little bit. Say here to minus 98. So now we go next peak, and we can see it's working its way down, but it's going to stop here within 6 dB of the threshold line here with the peak excursion on. So that gives you a brief overview on how markers work. You can have up to 12 markers. They can be normal, fixed, or delta. You can also put them on any trace you want. So if we had max hold trace on or min hold, you could put them on those traces as well. And we thank you for your attention.